mode.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining OCG Systems on what's going to be the first of an ongoing series to provide our customers, prospects and interested people with useful updates and information as it relates to the solutions we're offering and technology in general. My name's Rick Landman and I'm a director here at OCG. And I'm pretty excited today to be able to introduce you to one of our key solution partners and really what is a fantastic solution offering, enabling you to drive efficiencies not only within your business but for your business partners and for your customers. That solution being Jitterbit and Jitterbit Harmony Live. We've got a great lineup of people for you today, people from OCG Systems, Jitterbit, and also one of our customers here in Australia will be joining us shortly to give you a bit of an overview of what they've done with the Jitterbit Harmony solution. I sincerely hope that you guys all take away some useful information, and really the session today gives you an opportunity to consider how leveraging Jitterbit could enable you to do things better within your organisation, better for yourselves and potentially better for your customers. Now, before we get into that, what I'd like to do for those of you that are unfamiliar is briefly introduce you to OCG Systems. The business has been around for about 18 months, and in that time we've really focused with our customers on making the complex simple. We've worked with them to identify areas for consideration and opportunities as they move to the cloud or look to leverage the digital economy. OCG Systems works with technology partners such as Jitterbit really to deliver best-of-breed solutions that enable our customers to build their own platforms for continued success. And we do this through several key core competencies here at OCG Systems. We look to accelerate, we look to optimize, we look to secure, analyze, integrate, and finally equip our customers to do more with what they've got deployed. So just touch on each of those briefly. From an integration perspective, we want to work with you to ensure that your digital assets and your applications are providing you and your customers with the most efficient and optimal experience. Acceleration and optimization is really about ensuring you as an organization are getting the best out of your applications and your digital assets, whether that's internally or externally. We want to make sure that you're keeping your customers, you're giving them the best possible experience, and that as an organization you're not wasting time and losing productivity because your applications aren't performing as well as they could across your wider network. And when we go into an organization, these are really questions that we ask to help establish and understand, what we could be doing as an organization to benefit you. We look at, is their environment is secure? Are their digital applications, their digital assets, and the infrastructure that they have in place set up in such a way that it gives them what they need from a compliance perspective and really gives their customers the confidence that they need to have to be engaging within these organizations. We look to analyze, are you making the most out of the data that you have available to you as a business? Are there things that you could be doing proactively based on that data to improve the efficiency of how the business is run, to improve what your customers experience when they engage with you? And finally, we look to equip our customers. So really from an OCG perspective, we have a great services organization, but we want to make our customers and our partners that we deal with self-sufficient, provide a knowledge transfer that allows them to be more successful with the applications that they deploy. And these 6 core competencies really form the principles behind what is driving the success of OCG in the time that we've been around. Delivering a benefit to our customers and a level of service that exceeds their expectations. So that's OCG in a nutshell. For the main part of the session today, as I said, I'm excited to be sharing with you Jitterbit Harmony Live. This is for Jitterbit the biggest release since the Harmony platform itself. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Harmony, it's the multi-tenanted cloud platform that runs everything at Jitterbit. So what I've got for you this morning is an opportunity to see the new real-time API management platform live. This platform is built natively into the Harmony solution, and what this means for you as an organization utilizing the platform is an ability to do data integration, application integration, process integration, and real-time API management. And all this is done from a single platform with a single design experience and a single management console. So I'm going to spend about the next 15 minutes just introducing you to Jitterbit Harmony Live, why it's been developed and what it can do for your business. And then we'll take a look at some customers that have deployed the solution, as well as some service providers that are leveraging the platform to help grow their business and improve things for their customers. And then we're going to take it into a demo where you'll be able to see how the API management platform is deployed and used to create business processes and workflows. Following on from that, we'll have Sean Cronin from Telstra PhoneWords spend about 10 minutes talking about his experience with OCG systems and Jitterbit, and then why he's deployed this platform to help with his connectivity of MyOb XO to Salesforce. And then we'll have about 10 minutes of a live Q&A with a bit of luck, and you should all have access to the question window, and what we'll do is we'll run through and answer as many of those questions as we can during the presentation. So the situation today really that we're in is the midst of a digital revolution. The digital revolution is being driven through advancements in areas such as mobile, cloud, social, big data, and really what's emerging as the Internet of Things. The reality is every company across all verticals and of any size globally is going to have to go through a digital transformation in the next 5 to 10 years if they're going to survive. The companies that are successful in making this transition, as you can see from the right-hand side of the screen, the opportunity for them is literally trillions of dollars. For the companies that are less successful, then I think the results are pretty clear. 50% of the companies that were in the Fortune 500 when this digital revolution started have basically dropped out. They're either no longer in the Fortune 500, or worst case, they're no longer in business. John Chambers said in his last keynote delivered a couple of months ago that 70% of companies will attempt to go digital, but only 30% of those companies will actually be able to make it happen or will succeed. And in a meeting that I did with Gartner actually last week here in Melbourne, their outlook is a little bit more pessimistic. They're suggesting that only about 20% of companies will actually be able to pull off the transition to a digital economy. So you look at these expectations and what organizations like Gartner and Cisco, John Chambers, are saying, and the question really is, if only 20 to 30% of organizations are going to be successful in getting into the digital economy, why is it so difficult? And the answer, quite simply, if we see it, is it's too complex. You've got a new wave of technology, devices, and interaction models bringing with them a new wave of orchestrated APIs that all have to be connected. They all have to be deployed, and once you've actually managed to accomplish this after typically several months or years, they've then got to be managed. The reality is, though, they're all necessary. These APIs are what is really going to become the foundation of the new digital economy. Consider a company like Uber as an example. At a very high level, they've got a mobile app which integrates into a credit card processing facility, which integrates into mapping software for the tracking of drivers and locating passengers. And that then's integrated into a back office system for the automatic emailing of your invoices where no doubt it goes into an accounting solution that manages the P&L of the business. And these are all functions in reality that can be enabled through APIs. So the question when we talk to prospects and customers is often, how do we leverage these APIs and API gateways to attach them and bring them into our infrastructure and our digital assets? And then the question is how do I make those assets available to my employees or my business partners or my customers? And the aim for Jitterbit and OCG systems really is about breaking down the traditional information silos within your organization, enabling you to make these assets available, creating entirely new digital experiences that are in fact being driven by, by you, by me, by the consumer. We have increasing expectations. We expect more from the organizations that we deal with. But it's not only our expectations that are driving this behavior and this requirement, it's technology. So things like mobile and the Internet of Things are really just a couple of those. So in the technology space that we're in, we understand that there's a new generation of APIs coming. And surprisingly, and I found this out recently, that there are about 10,000 commercially available APIs today. That number, in fact, almost doubles year over year. So not only are there the commercially available APIs, there are also literally tens of thousands of hidden APIs that companies like Amazon, for example, are exposing on a daily basis. Some of these APIs are public and some of them are in fact private. But these APIs typically remain siloed, specific to the business function or the application that they're working with. So you're in a business and you need to connect something else. So, what do? Well, typically you need to deploy another API to be able to handle that. So what that means for delivery of an end-to-end business process or experience or a solution is that you've got multiple APIs at multiple points throughout that process, and you still may not be able to properly integrate into your core back office system, for example, or your enterprise data solution. More often than not, what you're going to need in this scenario is more custom development. This is what's going to allow you to truly realize the benefits and efficiencies that can be gained through these integrations. You look at expanding that to your partners or your suppliers or your customers, and you want them to be able to leverage these digital assets or applications or information, and the chances are that you're going to actually need further customization to be able to set it up to suit them. And the fact up until now is to enable these benefits, what you're probably going to need is a team of developers. A team of developers that is highly skilled, extremely expensive, and a team of developers that, to use a quote I had from a customer recently, are skilled in the black arts of integration. Once you've got this team of developers and they've gone and built your integration platform for you, what we're finding is that the APIs that are being built really are not as robust or as flexible as you envisaged they would be or you first thought. By the time that you've deployed those API gateways or API platforms to solve a specific problem, what we're finding is technology's changed. Processes have changed within the business. The customer's needs have changed. And what this then leads to is a constant cycle within an organization of API development and management, something which takes a huge amount of time, effort, and is done at considerable cost to a business. So when you think about 20 to 30% of organizations being able to make it in the digital transformation and get their piece of the pie in the digital economy, it's not really a suitable path for organizations that want to get into this. And the key things that they're going to require is agility, the opportunity to be able to take advantage of emerging technologies and to address their customers' needs quickly and as and when they arise. So what's being done about it, and why are we here today? And the team at Jitterbit and OCG Systems, we really believe that there is a better way to do this. And Jitterbit Harmony Live, quite frankly, is the API platform for the rest of us. The API platform for the 99% of us with little or no developer and coding experience. It's basically a platform that enables you as an organization to extend API functionality throughout the business. It's focused on the people within an organization that have an understanding not only of the technology, but also the business and the business processes. Really, it's being driven as a solution to be utilized by the technical business analyst. So, who's that if you don't have an official title within an organization for a technical business analyst? It's the person that manages your Salesforce environment, or the person that has helped with the configuration and the setup of a back office system like NetSuite. Or it's the person that works in operations that has a bit of technical knowledge, but more importantly, an understanding of the business and how greater efficiencies can be realized within the processes that you have. It's really, and as we're going to show you today, a solution that is accessible, visual, and wizard-driven, taking or simplifying what is typically seen as a very complex part of a business. That's not to say that we don't want developers playing on the Jitterbit platform, and we certainly don't want to alienate those guys. They're great at what they do. But really, instead of having them invest their time in day-to-day application integration and getting things up and running, wouldn't their knowledge, their skills, their capabilities be better invested in looking to the future, in working to identify how technology can drive the next big thing that's really going to differentiate your company? Not only that, they can work on the Jitterbit Live platform and help with the integrations and processes required, but free them up to do things that are actually going to help generate revenue for the business. The vision is really about democratizing APIs across an organization. Give anything that has an API the ability to connect. If it doesn't have an API, quite frankly, it's simple to build one for it. Provide anyone within the organization the ability to orchestrate APIs as it relates to how they do business on a day-to-day basis. And finally, it's about enabling users to deploy APIs in a manner that suits them, suits their business and the security requirements potentially that they have. Deploy an API outside the firewall in a throttle-managed way, like most traditional public API gateways are handled today, or for internal applications, deploy an API behind the firewall so that it never actually goes out into the public. So why is this solution and Jitterbit Live different to what's available today and what's in the market? Well, firstly, we believe API management really needs to take a leap to the next level, that being API orchestration. As I said, having the management and the ability to utilize APIs propagated throughout the organization to the people within the business that it's important to. And that at the core of it is fundamentally what Jitterbit has managed to do with Harmony Live. As I said, it's a solution that is focused on the technical business analyst, the person that understands the business and not only the technology. So what we're going to show you as we get into this is really how simple the Jitterbit Harmony Studio is for creating your APIs, how it's been used with customers, and how your technical business analysts, as opposed to the highly skilled developers, are going to be able to drive the solution and the leverage of that solution within the business. Jitterbit as an organization is a solution with a rich history of business focus and enterprise connectivity that will natively enable you to connect your core back-end business systems. If you want to expose an SAP API, no problems, it's there. If you want connectivity to MyOb, NetSuite, any number of databases, cloud services, or if you in fact want to take multiple sources behind a firewall, aggregate that and expose it as an API outside of your firewall, with the Jitterbit Harmony Live platform, you're able to do that today. And again, it's all designed and done in a visual, wizard-driven way through Harmony Studio that you will see today. The focus is really on delivering this in such a way that it allows you to very quickly realize the value of your integrations. If you look at, typically what we've seen in talking to prospects and customers, they're spending 6 to 9 months on integration projects. They've probably got a team of anywhere from 3 to 10 developers working on that. They've got project management. They've got business stakeholders. So, the cost is not only measured in the investment in technology, the cost is measured in terms of the investment of time and resource. And generally, you're looking at millions of dollars. With Jitterbit and the Jitterbit Harmony Live platform and Jitterbit Studio, again, all part of a single solution, really what we're looking at is days. And that is going to mean that your organization is driving those benefits much quicker. And lastly, we're committed to delivering these APIs anywhere. So, as with any solution like this, it's important that we show some customer stories. And the solution's been in beta for about a year, and there are a number of organizations here in Australia that are working through that. But what I want to do is just give you a couple of examples quickly. Mofi is a mid-sized manufacturing organization that realized the opportunity of making the digital transformation and leveraging integration to help them do that. They've got a large international marketplace. They have gone through massive growth as their business is closely aligned to technology, smartphones, tablets, and the like. And really, they saw that they needed to create efficiencies, simplifying their processes to deliver a level of customer service that sets themselves apart from the other people in this space. They had an SAP environment. They brought Salesforce into play to better manage their customers, their warranties, their suppliers. And what they did is they made the decision to deploy Jitterbit Harmony Live as the API gateway to do that for them. And quite frankly, this is a typical scenario that we see with our customers. CRM to ERP, giving full 360-degree visibility into what the customers are doing for the people that are servicing those customers. They went from this and looked at, okay, well, we now have created these efficiencies in managing our customers. Where else can we go in the business? And they took Jitterbit Harmony Live and they integrated into their Magento commerce platform or e-commerce platform. They then built integration into their logistics providers, so shipping companies, FedEx, UPS, in this case USPS. And what they were able to do through the platform is create an end-to-end business process for ordering, through to fulfillment, through to invoicing, through to collections, that requires very little human intervention at all along the way. And leveraging Jitterbit Harmony Live, they were able to do this in a matter of days for each integration, as opposed to what would typically take months. Excuse me. Next, we have Club Auto. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about Club Auto because it is the basis of the demo that we're going to show you today. But these guys are the equivalent to RACV or NRMA, RACQ, depending on where people are connecting to. And they've used the Harmony Live platform to integrate beyond traditional applications. They're connected via the Internet of Things and are working with the likes of VW and Hyundai to help service car users. And for me, this is a great solution, and we'll take that off in the demo for you guys. Lastly, a solution that we've done a little bit here in Australia as well, Berkeley School of Music. So they're utilizing the Harmony Live platform to take student data from legacy systems, and with Jitterbit, passing this data into a single source of the truth, which becomes Salesforce. And what they're then doing is allowing their customers, in this case students, to access their data directly from Salesforce via Lightning Connect, delivering real-time feeds, so that the students are basically able to access the information that they require, course material, grades, that type of thing, basically from anywhere, whenever they like. And again, this is a great use case, mitigating the need in the business for flat file transfers, manual uploads of data, really streamlining that whole business process. And this is my last slide. before we get into the demo. So what I wanted to do is just give you a couple of use cases very briefly of how organizations, ISVs, are leveraging the Jitterbit platform to deliver better solutions for their customers. What they're doing is leveraging Harmony Live to integrate directly with the applications that their customers are using to create efficiencies in their businesses and really to drive a new business opportunity for the organizations themselves. So Odyssey is effectively providing a logistics hub. You know, you're able as a consumer, as a business, to post a job, a requirement that you have for transportation, courier services, international delivery. Those jobs are then posted on an Odyssey platform, and the subscribers, the logistics companies that utilize the Odyssey platform or have it integrated into their own solution are then able to bid on those jobs. You know, what the benefit of this is to the customer is, you know, first and foremost, you get a better level of service and you get a better price. You're able to shop around in real time and see what's going on with the solutions. For the companies that are delivering, or the logistics suppliers, they're able to ensure that their services are actually filled to capacity. So what this means is they improve their profitability, they're getting better utilization out of their assets and their services, and the end game of all that is they can provide a better price to the customers. So really, you know, a win-win that helps everyone. Similarly, with solutions like Aptus, you're looking at integrations that are connecting manufacturers, suppliers of raw materials, and retailers that are enabling them to get the solutions, the product, what they need, when they need it, at the best available price of the time. Suppliers are able to manage their inventory levels, they're able to manage supply and demand to create efficiencies, and therefore really improve the profitability of the business. And lastly, a great example is Autodesk. So PLM 360 is a product that they have effectively embedded with the Jitterbit APIs. So when you go to deploy Autodesk for product lifecycle management, really what they've done is been able to take the question away, or been able to negate the need to ask the question of how do I integrate, how do I connect this Autodesk solution into my other applications? How do I get it to work with Salesforce? How do I get it to work with SAP or NetSuite or Oracle? You know, the connectors through the Harmony Live platform are all there. They're all live. They're all predefined. Again, just simplifying that whole process of deploying an application and getting that application to be used effectively within the business. So these are just a few examples, some customer stories. As I said, we've got Telstra coming on to join us and talk in a little while. But if you want more information, you want to discuss more specifically how Jitterbit can help within your business, then certainly the guys here at OCG and Jitterbit are available. And you know, we're happy to take your calls and discuss further. So that's pretty much it for me. What I'd now like to do is hand over to Ed Henderson and Ilya Pupko. Sorry, Ilya. Ed manages the Jitterbit portfolio here at OCG Systems, and Ilya is the Director of Technology and Development at Jitterbit. So what these guys are going to do is take you through a live demo of Harmony Live, and then go a little bit further under the covers so you can really see the simplicity of creating complex integrations and APIs, leveraging the platform. So over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Rick, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again this morning. As Rick mentioned, we'll be showing you through a club audio roadside services similar scenario. Just to set the scene here, we're in our car, we've just finished our hard day of work and we're wanting to get home desperately, ready to relax and put our feet up, but as we're going along, we start our car, we begin the drive, we're going to run into a small problem, and we're going to notify this, listed as an overdrive spike. So our car starts to heat up, and then an issue starts to occur. We're told to check our engine there. This being a connected car has now sent out a full API call. So instead of having to look around for your roadside assistance information, dig out the requirements, make the call, and start to show all that information there to get someone to come out and help you, the car has gone ahead and done that directly, calling through the APIs available by Jitterbit Live. So on the right-hand side of the screen here, we have a mobile device that's available to a roadside assistance mechanic. So given that we already have an issue in our car, if I just refresh that, we'll see that the car has then gone ahead and instantly made a case already for us for our roadside assistance. Now I can click into this case number here, and this is going to provide us with a bit of information around our car. We can see that the status has already been called, and we have an agent in transit already on our way to pick up and help out with our problem. We've got a case number that's already been created. We've been required for the roadside assistance. We can see that the case has come directly from the car. We can see the VIN number and the location of our car where it was stopped. So we can also step into the related tab here, and by viewing the auto data of the customers, and this here is all built on the Salesforce One mobile application, we can get a full view into the information around this particular individual. So within this, we can provide a window through to our SAP system without ever actually storing any of the SAP data within our Salesforce. It's purely looking through to provide information around parts data, and requirements and other log information have happened around our car. So if I step back into our details, and as the roadside assistance is now here, we can then go ahead and edit this scenario through our Salesforce mobile device and change our status to service in progress. Upon saving that, Jitterbit is then, the mobile application is then going to make another API call through Jitterbit and link directly to our connected car. So if we just give that a moment there, you can see that the engine has now, or the car has now told us that we have a service in progress. So during this service, we can tell, and the agent, the mechanic there on site with us, can tell that it's something simple as we've just run out of coolant. So after topping up that coolant, we can go back into our mobile device, change the status again to a sensor check. Upon this sensor check, and again saving, this is going to require another API call called out to our car, where it's going to check all the diagnostics with its internal onboard computer and eventually come up with us with a car that's running back and good. So that'll just take a moment there to reach through, and that's being corrected now. Our overheating fixed, our engine's working fine, and we're all ready to go ahead. Now that that car has changed its status there again, we can refresh our mobile device and see that our status has now been closed. And that has completed our full implementation, and we're back up and driving. All of this has been done through the API calls between our mobile device running through the SAP, through the Salesforce One mobile application into our SAP backend and connecting to our Internet of Things, which in this case is a connected car. Now we can show you how this sort of scenario is actually built within a backend and within the user interface. So if I switch here to our Jitterbit Studio, and this is the desktop application, we're actually able to go in and design all the workflows that have been created in order to build out this particular instance for this demonstration. So as I step into this particular operation here, which is inserting the case information, you can see that it builds out to an easy view as a human would read it. We can see that we have Salesforce coming in and inserting the cases. That's pushing the information into our SAP, and then it's going ahead and creating these cases within our Salesforce to then have our mobile devices up and ready to view. Following that, we can see where we can view our log statuses. And again, this is another simple operation. This has been pre-built in, and this is where we're able to view the log status. And again, this will come through API that pulls out the information out of SAP and displays within our status. I'm viewing this third current case. Here's where we're creating the case updates. So if something happens in Salesforce, the status change will come back through and Jitterbit will send it all in various statuses. And these are built out into transformations. And as I open up this one here, you can see that as we receive the outbound messages from our Internet of Things, and just through this simple mapping between Salesforce and SAP, We can move the information across to match any of the outbound system changes and have those reflected within our current operation. We can then step into the fourth operation and final operation here, and it works under the same principle, where we're then again calling the case and closing the case through Salesforce. So this is the simple integration piece that's all been built out with these API calls, all works within our Jitterbit Studio environment. Now, if I'm to switch across to Ilya Popko, and as we mentioned, he's working there with Jitterbit over in the US, and he's going to show a brief run-through of the web management console and how that fits within building the actual APIs and the API management side of things. Ilya, are you happy to take it away?
Yep, absolutely. You should now be able to see one of the screens of our web management panel. This is where you can actually see how all of your operations perform, whether it's API or any type of integration that you may have. Maybe it's offline synchronization that happens once a day. Maybe it's real-time APIs as it is now. In this demo, you can see all the hits that have been done for specifically this car. You can break it down to the type of API hits, and you can really figure out if anything is going wrong. You can figure out what it is that's happening. Perhaps your integration with Volkswagen is breaking at times, and you can kind of figure it out on that analytics perspective, analytics view. As you work through these APIs, there is something to be said about this trial and error approach that you have to do. A lot of times when you're introducing an API, and especially when you're working with already established structures, you need to confirm to one that was provided by another organization the documentation that is perhaps out of touch with the reality. And so the debug mode is something that's extremely important, and this is what is provided here as well. You can see that every single hit you can enable this debug mode, and you can see exactly what's all coming over, what all the headers, what all the payloads, what all the pieces, how was it authenticated, what were the issues, etc. All that information is at your fingertips. You can do the research, etc. So that's the generics of our management panel. Again, the ability to do the full view, the ability to manage it, all the multiple environments and projects that you have straight on the web, even when you're away from your desk. So I take it back to Rick, I believe, at this point.
Thanks, Ilya. I really appreciate that. And I'm actually driving around at the moment in my little VW Golf with the check engine light on constantly. So something like this could probably really help me. So yeah, great solution, and a great way of demonstrating how the Harmony Live platform can be integrated from a management perspective. What I'm going to do now is pass over to Sean Cronin. Sean is on the line. Sean is a senior analyst with Telstra PhoneWords and has worked closely with the team here at Jitterbit on implementing an integration between Salesforce and MyObXO. So with that, Sean, I'm going to be driving the presentation for Sean, so if I miss a cue point, let me know. But thanks, Sean, and I appreciate you joining the line.
Sure. Thanks, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for the invite, Rick. Basically, Telstra PhoneWords has a majority-owned Telstra corporation. We obviously run independently. The business itself sells or licenses PhoneWords to companies around Australia. So that's a 1300 13 or 1800 number that actually makes a word like 1300 Dominoes. We have a couple of major systems in the business, obviously MyObXO and Salesforce, and we've always had the business has always had an issue with the data quality and the inconsistency and mismatching of data between those two systems since their inception. There's also been obviously a lot of wasted time and effort with duplication of data between those two systems. And the availability of data in one system as opposed to another, and the transparency, I guess, of that information in between departments has also been an issue. Obviously, information in one system not being available to another department across the floor that doesn't use that system. So we went down the path, I guess, of looking at what we could do about it and trying to understand where we wanted to head towards, and obviously trying to put some information around those gaps and where we wanted, and which gaps were, I suppose, important to us, and what we wanted to resolve. We looked at different options and different opportunities for resolving it, and obviously looked at doing a custom integration ourselves, and obviously that was going to be costly, long, and require a high amount of time. We looked at open source middleware applications, which also required some integration, and looked at things like Talent. And then we also looked at sort of commercial middleware, and we're looking specifically at some that had pre-built MYOB connectors and Salesforce connectors, which were the two primary systems that we wanted to integrate. MYOB's Exos API also had some challenges, and we also needed to find something that was reasonably flexible that could handle the MYOB challenges. And there were very few options, middleware options available that sort of offered a pre-built MYOB connector to help also reduce the implementation time and the customization that might have been needed. So I suppose when we got to the end of that research and that analysis, we found that looking at the Jitterbit solution, it was going to enable us to get there and do what we needed to do, automate data exchange to reduce data entry and duplication, improve the things that we wanted to improve: data accuracy, completeness, consistency between the two systems of info. And I suppose from a model point of view, looking at the slide that's on screen now, we really wanted to be able to take the CRM completed sale and be able to push that across to MYOB Exo as well, so it would create a new debtor company, create a new contact, create a subscription, create a stock item within MYOB, and reduce the amount of time that human resource re-entering that data from one system to another. We also wanted bi-directional sync of existing companies and contacts going back and forth from one system to the other. So if a change was made in Salesforce, then that would automatically be pushed in from a contact, or a company would be pushed to MYOB, so someone didn't have to re-enter it there as well. We also have customer support and Salesforce cases, which we wanted to push into MYOB data notes. We also wanted to get MYOB data notes to actually be visible in Salesforce. So we actually created some custom objects there to be able to push that information in. I suppose time frame wise, we had some challenges which with any project like this which you have to overcome. But for the most part, I suppose choosing OCG and Jitterbit came down to three things. Jitterbit was, an established and is a respected and well-funded cloud product company. OCG, although we hadn't had a lot of experience with OCG previously, they've proved themselves during this project to be customer service focused, quick, fast, and understand the product. So going from A to B made it quite easy, and when challenges did come up, able to find quick and easy workarounds to be able to put in place to achieve what still needs to be achieved. I suppose that's about it, other than the fact that these guys are able to, I suppose, recommend them without hesitation, because they have a great work ethic and have a high focus on customer service, which is, don't give out those compliments very lightly, so they did extremely well.
I'll mute my line. Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate you jumping on the line and taking us through what you guys did with the Jitterbit Harmony platform and MyOb and Salesforce. Let me just ask you a question, Sean, and we're now getting into the Q&A portion of the session, so we've got about 10 minutes left. I think you should all have access to the question tab on your GoToWebinar, but maybe I'll kick it off just with a question for you, Sean, from my side while we get some questions to come in.
Yeah, sure.
What, looking at this project, and obviously we sat through it from our side, if you had the opportunity to take it and do it over again, what are some of the things in the planning phases that you would consider that would potentially have would have benefited or maybe solved some of the challenges that you talked about?
That's actually a really good question. I suppose adequate planning and analysis before a project begins is definitely going to highlight potentially some of the issues that might come up, but also understand where maybe some of the risks are before you get going. So knowing where you are, I guess, where you want to go, identifying the gaps and mapping a path to get there is going to be extremely beneficial to make sure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. There's never ever going to be a situation where challenges won't come up, or very rarely anyway, and but being prepared to be able to address them when and if they do come up is important. Detailing the requirements for the solution so that your integration team and your partners know what your needs are and what needs to be delivered, and having that in enough detail in the right areas, I suppose, to help, I suppose, with the implementation plan is going to be highly beneficial. And choosing the right people, having your team around you that and doing the research obviously before that, choosing the right team to put this in place is important to make sure that you do reach that end goal successfully. So many projects fail, and to make sure that you have the right team in place is important.
Okay, good. So we've got a few questions coming in. Don't be shy, guys. It's a great opportunity with Ilya, Sean, and some OCG guys on the line. First one I think is probably directed at you, Ilya. So we've identified a couple of applications that we could use Jitterbit on, and we've had a look online at the Harmony platform and think this is a pretty good starting point. How difficult is it to upgrade or migrate to Harmony Live when we're ready to make that transition?
So first of all, the whole Harmony experience, it's all one platform. That's one of the important things that we always stress. So whether you're using APIs or whether you're doing basic integration, whether you're using just one connector or two connectors, and then 2 years from now you decide to do something completely different, it's the exact same experience, exact same projects that you will be working with. There's not going to be any extra items that you need to install or acquire. It's all one system, one experience. From there, I would also note that as far as switching or adding into your environment, we have a lot of customers that have decided to introduce Jitterbit into environments that haven't even had Jitterbit in the first place. So we're talking about other potentially even what some would call competitive products in the mix, and we survive very well within that environment. Jitterbit is very good at allowing you to be the middle layer in massaging the data or carrying the data from point A to point B to allow your IT to focus on more technical challenges, and to allow you to be able to have that visibility that you require. The quick glimpse that I gave of the WMC is just one of the ways that you can do it. That you come in, you can look at your projects, you can see how all of your operations are working without actually having to check up on dozens of servers, dozens of things, etc. So again, absolutely, we have a lot of projects that people start that are only days. A lot of times the way that our engagement starts is a company comes in, does a trial, and a few days into it they realize that they are already solving challenges, and they start communicating from there on out. Sometimes their integration is a lot more advanced, and they engage with the professional services, OCG, assisting with that. But again, the introduction of the platform itself is really, really easy. It's worth the trial.
Okay, thanks, Ilya, and talked a little bit more detail there. That's great. Got another question for you here, Sean. Just very quickly, what were the measurable benefits that you guys saw by deploying the integration?
Data is still being collected, but essentially the decrease in time to have a closed sale entered into MyOb is first and foremost. We're starting to see now, because obviously we've only gone live a few weeks ago, but we're starting to see now improvements in data quality coming through from both systems. Obviously the consistency, but also the transparency of information on the customer support side of information that's in MyOb, which wasn't available to them previously, has increased, I suppose, the level of information for customer support as calls come in from that side, which might be related to potential finance issues as well.
Okay, great. Another one for you here, Ilya, and I'll take, there's a series of questions here, but I'll take the first one. So information on the creation of APIs and integration with Jitterbit platform. Plenty of information on the web, and we can follow up with some links that will enable you to get that information and do some research. As Ilya touched on, one of the things that I would certainly strongly urge you to do if you're interested in looking at this is have a crack at the 30-day free trial. What you'll find from that is you know how simple it is to get up and running, and certainly the team from OCG will be able to support you with that. Ilya, what sort of response times can we expect from the API platform, and what sort of transaction volumes is Jitterbit targeting?
Great questions. So I'll start with the simpler one, the volume. We have effectively two types of integrations, or two types of customers. Those that are looking to do API is just part of their integration. It's very important to them, but it's not the old style of APIs where a company comes in and they expect to do thousands of calls per minute. These are the ones where it's just part of an integration, so you may have 1 or 2 per minute. That's one type of integration, and then we have a whole batch of customers where the API is their business, and what they do is they transact in thousands per minute. So those are the two separate batches, and we deal with them separately. The high volume customers, those are all custom conversations. We work with you directly in making sure that our product actually matches your needs, and that we actually ensure that the setup is appropriate, etc. So again, both sides, and we cater to both. As far as the response times, somewhat similar, so that's why I wanted to keep it to the second. It's a similar type of situation. The response times are, we're talking about milliseconds, and from there on out, it really is going to depend more on what the API is doing. So a lot of times, just as an example, API, Jitterbit Live API platform is used as a broker for other systems APIs. We have a lot of customers that have designed their proprietary APIs and they want to generalize them and make them standard, and they use the Jitterbit Live as the broker, as a proxy for that data. So that just to give you an example of the speed of the platform. But from there, it's just what it is that you're integrating. If your API is carrying gigabytes of data over the wire, of course, it will take more than a few seconds.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Ilya. I'm skipping through some of the questions, but we've got a good question here around PCI compliance. So what about PCI compliance and the ability to hide sensitive data in the message payloads when using monitoring tools?
Yeah, I was actually in the process of responding that offline. The security and specifically logging are one of the most important items for Jitterbit. We are above all a cloud platform. We also have a hybrid and on-premise setup, but one of the main offerings is cloud. So for us, security is extremely important, more than anything else. So there is a number of settings that you have specific to logging. I would also note that not only can you disable it, but the payloads for these APIs, I think that's where this question is coming from. These payloads are completely separate as they come in, and they don't get persisted, nor do they remain in the system. You can enable temporarily, you can enable debugging, at which point you can view into these payloads. But even when you do that, we warn you of the side effects, and we only allow you to do that for a time period to ensure that that doesn't continue to occur in production environments.
Okay, and I think we've probably got time for one more question. So I think you answered this, Ilya, but I'm going to bring this one out. So you've got a system with existing APIs. Does the Harmony Live platform replace those APIs?
Yeah, I did provide somewhat a related answer, but absolutely not. Jitterbit prefers to work alongside with the systems. We have a lot of our customers that utilize Salesforce. We heard some examples today, and Salesforce has, for example, outbound messaging, a way to do real-time push from Salesforce on whatever events that you may have as part of your workflow. And Jitterbit, a lot of Jitterbit customers set up the API just to listen to those events, so they can then trigger other operations. Perhaps Salesforce makes a notification that the case is closed, and as an example here, the car resets itself. That's just one of the examples. So absolutely, the APIs that Jitterbit allows you to do can work alongside others.
Thank you, Ilya, and I'm conscious we're right at the hour. So there's a few more questions on here, and I apologize that we didn't get to all of them. What I'll do is make sure that we come back to you offline via email with an answer. So I apologize we didn't touch everyone's questions, but I'm conscious that we booked an hour. So thank you all for joining the session today. If you do need any more information, or you want to chat further about how Jitterbit could work in your environment, or indeed look at any of the other solutions OCG Systems offers, there's some contact details up there. The link for the trial is there, and hopefully you got some value out of this, and we'll be able to see you all on the next session that we do. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much.